What kind of a balance do you strike between character and accessibility? Recently, we've been doing a lot of more of a deep dive into into accessibility standards and what we support and how we support it and frustrations. And one of the things that always comes back is adding descriptive text to alternative text to imagery. Now, a while back, ages ago, it used to be, you add alt text to absolutely every single image to describe it. But the thinking came then that actually, if the image is chrome, if like the image is fanciness, added extras, shiny things, you don't add alt text because half of the screen reader is just going to be going along saying like green dot the text da 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 ending dot for paragraph da da da, and just describing bits that are visual, that things that aren't needed to actually get over the content or what the content or learning experience is trying to pass on. However, sometimes when you're working on any kind of content or material online, whilst you might not be including descriptive alternative text to imagery because you believe it's chrome, I do sometimes wonder how far and where the balance goes for this, because if you're adding imagery to not like a flow chart or a graphic to describe something, or a graph or something, just adding imagery that kind of helps, I suppose, colour a metaphor, or it's meant to be content, not exactly content, but it's for like colouring in the story of what you're telling or the learning objective. So it's help setting a scene. I think you need to be careful not to, I think of those as chrome only by default. So you might come up with a standard that says if it's chrome, don't add alt text, but if it's only add alt text if it's a graph or if it's a diagram. And don't do it if it's like a picture of someone learning, or a picture of, say, a school or something. I mean, these are very context-specific examples here for the master's courses we're designing. However, I do think if you leave out all of the alt text for anything but a graph or a diagram, you miss out on setting the context or the story of certain content. So, for example, in our induction, there's imagery there to help, induct a student into what it's like being a student at Exeter. And whilst it might look like chrome because it looks fancy, actually it's setting the scene of what being an Exeter student is. It's setting a scene of what the on-campus buildings are like, what learning might look like in a team, that it is happy, that being with other students is a fun experience, discussing and using a whiteboard. So whilst on the initial kind of look pass, it might not be a diagram or a flow chart or a graphic or a graph, but don't forget that some of this content is setting a scene for a user, for a learner, and just passing on adding an alt text because you think it's chrome, it's an add-on, it's not adding to content. You might want to rebalance your thinking and just double check that actually that alt text might be setting a scene or adding content that you hadn't realised. So yeah, balance and alt text and accessibility. Just a passing thought.